Hey everyone, I'm Princess Link, and welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 4. I don't know what that was. Look. I have a problem, okay? Yeah. No. One time I gave an original character in a fanfic a bomber jacket with a foxhound, like, patch, and I was like, wait, that's actually really freaking sick. I want that. So then I bought one. I don't know if this is technically a bomber jacket because I don't know what a bomber jacket is. But anyway, off topic, chapter 2. Snake looked out the window to get a view of the European countryside, but since this was the last train, Eastern Europe had already slid into the gloom of night, and all was darkness. What he did see was a brightly lighted billboard alongside the rail line. The ad featured a raven with wings spread across a backdrop of advertising copy. Raven Sword, an American PMC. One of Liquid's, of course. I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2 earlier. Snake Tail. And also, turns out the Legacy Collection, which is what I have, it has the freaking thing where you can change which characters are in cutscenes, so I was messing around with that. I tried to put one with just Otacon, where everyone was Otacon, but it wouldn't let me. Yeah. Anyway, according to Campbell's report, the local government had declared a state of emergency in the historic capital. A curfew was in effect, and armed soldiers, provided by Raven Sword, patrolled the empty streets. Their goal, to hunt resistance forces. The government was making a concerted effort to halt the constant rebel attacks against its capital. Campbell found a list of groups naming the government as an enemy of peace. The list included organizations in support of the parliamentary opposition and NPOs opposed to specific policies. The whole thing reeked of political reprisal. One of the names on Campbell's list was the Paradise Lost Army. Like the poem, I think it's, what is Paradise Lost? Like, I know it's about, like, the Bible and stuff, but, like, is it a poem? I think it is a poem. I tried to read it one time. Did I actually try, or did I just find it? Somehow I managed to, like, download both Paradise Lost and Dante's Inferno on my phone, but then I lost that phone. So, yeah. I don't know, I was like, I want to read Dante's Inferno and Paradise Lost. And, I mean, I tried to. Anyway. But the odd thing about the group was that its political goals and strategies were completely unknown. Even the locals' knowledge, or lack of knowledge, of the organization was strange. If they were a terrorist organization with public attacks, plural, some level of information would get out. Big Mama's in the kitchen, and everybody's wishing. Song from Birdemic. Just hanging out with my family. Possibly the caretaker of Big Boss's corpse was the leader of the mysterious resistance group. On a mission, finding something for someone. That was what Raiden had said in South America, followed by 3 other words. Pandora's box, perhaps. When did he say that? The train slowed and entered into a space under a giant roof. The disembarking travelers were few, even considering the late hour. With a state of emergency, the number of visitors to the city had plummeted, including those from other European countries. Well, I mean... Wait. What? Whatever. And even though Snake came disguised with a trench coat and leather travel bag, the local PMC had enough resources to run a careful check on all passenger IDs. According to Drubbin, Liquid's PMCs had been given a top-secret order to kill Solid Snake on sight. The local army and police forces wouldn't know about the order, but Snake knew he couldn't turn to them for aid. But Campbell told us he had a way for Snake to get past the checkpoint. Snake walked the lonely train. I walk the lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Oh my god, my 7th grade art teacher would always play the weirdest music, and that was one of the songs he played. No, maybe it wasn't. No, it wasn't, actually. Maybe it was. No, but... I don't think it was. I think... No, he did play really weird music, though. And... Snake walked the lonely train platform to the door leading inside the station, where a group of PMC soldiers were checking IDs. They had a large white walk-through biometric scanner with an AT logo on the side. The scanner read retinal patterns, fingerprints, and nanomachine identifiers. What now? Snake had no choice but to believe in Campbell. We hadn't prepared any dummy fingerprints or retinal spoofers, and there was nothing to be done about his nanomachines. Shut up about nanomachines. Shut up about nanomachines. Oh my god. No, I was reading something that's like, oh, Screaming Mantis is possessed by Psycho Mantis, but not really. She just had nanomachines with a consciousness or whatever. I'm like, dude, shut up about nanomachines. Ghosts literally exist in Metal Gear. It's literally canon that ghosts exist. Like, shut up about nanomachines. Actually, I don't know what that voice was. Snake stuck his cigarette between his lips, only to realize he'd forgotten to bring a lighter. Nice. How? Like, how do you even do something like that? Next, said a soldier standing in front of Snake. Well, this was about to get interesting. Snake glanced at the biometric scanner, which was probably connected to some central server. Small lights blinked on and off, and it perched before the doorway like an eager executioner. If Snake walked through it, a lot of trouble would follow. All he could do was wait. Campbell had said it would be all right, but how long would the PMC let him stall? Hey, you! I said next! No, I mean... Imagine you're just trying to get home after a long day of work, and some freaking asshole is just refusing to go through the thingy. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude, just freaking go. Honestly, that pissed me off more than, I don't know, whatever else. Like, as someone who takes public transportation, if they had, like, a metal detector or something on the bus, and some asshole was, like, refusing to go through it, and nobody could get, like, on the bus, I'd be so mad. I mean, honestly, the bus would probably just drive away, but, like, still. That's a really dumb comparison, but still. The soldiers raised their guns. Now there was nothing more Snake could do. He just wished he had a damn blade. At least then he could face the circle of rifle muzzles with a little calm and a pleasant puff of smoke. That's enough, said a soldier from one of the side doors. Her uniform didn't match the others. It was American. A familiar emblem was on her chest. It's the fire emblem. I was literally just playing Three Houses, which I literally pre-ordered 3 Houses, and I still haven't beaten it because I'm just easily distracted. Okay. I'll take him from here. One checkpoint guard confusedly said, but her reply was firm. We've been looking for this man. Yes, ma'am. The American waved Snake over. He walked around the scanner and through the side door. Inside was the station lobby. At several coffee tables, a few scattered groups of soldiers and civilians chatted. The American withdrew a lighter and set it to Snake's cigarette. You're looking younger, Meryl said. What's your secret? She was looking at Snake's face circa 9 years prior. His face before the wrinkles spread from his eyes and mouth to cover everything else. Face camouflage. Same stuff as Octo Camo. I was told. But where did it come from? Since, I mean, the B&Bs aren't in here, which, speaking of them, turns out, Laughing Octopus has the same voice actor as Camilla from Fire Emblem Fates. I was making a list of, how does that work? On Tuesday, I made a list of Metal Gear characters whose voice actors were also in Fire Emblem, because it's actually a surprisingly large amount. And then I forgot to take a picture of it and I threw it away. Also, Rosemary, the boss, Sonny, and Chico all have the same Japanese voice actor who also voiced Lust in Full Metal Alchemist and Lily from Rune Factory Tides of Destiny. And also Deirdre from Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, Snake briefly switched on the face texture, and for a moment, the old tired face she saw in the Middle East appeared. Every face I eyes is not for me. I wonder how does my life go on? Many chances I have seen before, but no more. She saw in the Middle East reappeared, as sadness appeared in her expression. The PMCs seem to know you well enough, he said. You may not believe it, but I'm in charge of overseeing all PMC activity here as well. Having connections can still open doors. Snake exhaled smoke. You alone? Meryl nodded in the direction of the back of the lobby, where the members of Rat Patrol 01, Ed, Jonathan, and the man with the poor intestinal fortitude, Akiba, all sat around one of the tables. Snake! Akiba stood and waved at Snake. Hey, Snake! Over here! Meryl and Snake sunk their heads into their hands. Ed swiftly elbowed the kid to shut him up. But the PMC soldiers had already noticed the commotion. With a look of disgust, Snake said, Him again! Him again! I like Johnny. Stop being mean to Johnny. I like him. From all around the room, eyes were upon them. Meryl led Snake to an adjacent lounge where no one was around. First of all, Meryl is like such an old lady name. I'm sorry, but like, Meryl is an old lady name. I used to work with a Meryl when I used to work at a daycare, and one of my, I think she was like actually like my boss. Anyway, her name was Meryl. and she was an older woman. And then there's Meryl Streep, who's like old. Like, I actually used to work at a daycare, but it was inside and run by like a synagogue, and I'm not Jewish. It was interesting, actually. They have like a whole they have like a holiday dedicated to trees, I think. It was something like that. Anyway, Meryl led Snake to an adjacent lounge where no one was around. They sat at a table. "Listen to me, Snake. After reporting what happened in the Middle East to my superiors, I wrote up a threat assessment. The presidents finally realized the danger Liquid's rebellion poses." Obama? Obama? I'm sorry. Like the Beyonce? Obama? The presidents finally realized the danger Liquid's rebellion poses. Now I've got more bodies than I know what to do with. A whole joint Army Marines team. They're already on site, mixed in with the U.S. forces here. She looked into Snake's eyes. "We're ready to capture Liquid at any time." Snake let out a small sigh. "We're ready to Wait, I just read that. This young soldier still didn't know that there were things that strength of force could achieve, and there were things it couldn't. "You're planning to take it by force? That's crazy. Look, things aren't that simple," he said. "Listen, old man, I don't take orders from you or from your Colonel Campbell." Snake knew that would be her response before she said it. She was stubborn, like Campbell. Still, he had to warn her, even if it was futile. It's gonna be the Middle East all over again." Meryl shook her head. "No, it won't. If things get out of control, we can put a total lockdown on the PMC's weapons. They won't be able to fight back. Don't forget, we control the system." First force and now the system. Snake knew all too well how fragile those could be. Often those who believe themselves masters of the system, capital S or no, end up finding out that they were the ones being exploited by it. Meryl, Liquid, hell, even me. We were all nothing more than the context for the formation of the Patriot system. "I wouldn't rely too much on the system if I were you," Snake said. "Even so, we've got him beat in sheer numbers." "Meryl, some things are too complex to be solved by force." But Snake knew it would be nearly impossible to convince her to back down. Then she softened and spoke with a voice he hadn't heard for 9 years, the voice of the Meryl he once knew. "Snake, just leave this to me." She wasn't crying, but there were tears in her eyes. "Don't throw your life away." She laid her hand over his. "What you're trying to do, it's not a mission." "I know. It's not justice, it's a hard hit. But then," Snake wondered, "have I ever fought on behalf of justice?" After Outer Heaven, Snake had distanced himself from the concept. Justice is never more than someone's idea of justice, and never in history had justice made the world into a better place. For great justice! How are you, gentlemen? All your basics belong to us. You've fallen right into my trap. In America! That's from Fire Emblem, not... But still. It's my best Fire Emblem quote right there. You've fallen right into my trap. In America! Liquid and Snake were brought into the world by the Patriots, once controlled by their system. So while this operation might have been a personal killing, wasn't it also part of a global battle? Snake's birth had been too strange, and his life too extraordinary, to separate the personal from the global. Meryl watched him smoke his cigarette. "Look," she said, "our ways of thinking may be different, but to me, you're still a legend, a hero. I know all about the things you did when you were young. It was what kept me going." Then she added, "I can't bear to watch you die over something so pointless." Snake chuckled. "Don't worry about me. Old soldiers never die." Before Snake could say the rest, they just fade away. Meryl started to cry. He'd meant it as a joke, but now he could see there was nothing funny about it. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm no hero. Never was. I'm just an old killer hired to do some wet work." Meryl wiped her eyes, and the resolve returned to her expression. Any trace of sadness or doubt was gone. "Fine. Then we'll just have to catch him before you do." Meryl stood and turned her back to him. "I may have loved you once, but now you're just an obstinate old man." Fun fact, the only reason I know what obstinate, whatever means, is Xenoblade, baby! She walked back to her squad, not once stopping to look back. "Wake up and face reality, old Snake, and stay out of her way." By the time Snake left the station, I had already made contact with Dr. Madnar. Naomi briefly explained Raiden's injuries, and the doctor said he thought he could help. I sent Naomi and Sunny with Raiden to his location, safely inside a non-combat zone, while I provided support to Snake. Although we were using the face camo to project Snake's younger face, its primary function, just like the sneaking suit or Drebin's APC, was to scan its surroundings while mimicking the background. A member of the Lost in Paradise Army. You mean Paradise Lost? What's the Lost in Paradise Army? What? Arrived on a train a little over 10 minutes after Snake's. The man had a criminal history, so with minimal effort, I hacked into the police database and retrieved his background and facial recognition data. Snake wasn't wearing the solid eye. It wouldn't exactly help him stay low profile inside the station. Yeah, no shit. But I could access the face camera's live image data, providing a full 360-degree view of everything around Snake. I fed that stream through a facial recognition filter and watched through the match. Just as Meryl was walking away from Snake, I saw him. "Snake, he's leaving the station through the exit directly behind you." Snake acknowledged, put out a cigarette, and stepped out into the foggy cobblestone street. "He's walking away to your right. Don't let him see you." "I'm used to sneaking right past someone's back, but it's been a while since I've had to tell anyone." "Yeah, since 99. Frickin' Green Beret dude from Metal Gear 2. Now that he mentioned it, he never had to shadow anyone in any of our missions together. The streetlights were lit, though only for the benefit of Ravenswood patrols. With the curfew, the streets were empty. Even if Snake kept a good distance, all the Resistance fighter had to do was turn and see him, and that would be it. Only someone incredibly careless would notice someone behind him when no one was allowed on the streets and think it was a coincidence. Supposedly, Snake had done tail work in Zanzibar land, and I wouldn't be surprised if he'd done it as a matter of routine for the CIA, with all the dirty work they forced on him as an undercover operative. He might have done something of that nature in the Outer Heaven op as well. No, he didn't. Yeah, no. Wait, which one's Outer Heaven again? Yeah, no, he didn't. I got Outer Heaven for a second. The streets were covered in fog. Snake switched off his face camo. No need for it now, and strapped the solid eye around his head. And its enhanced optics helped him see through the darkness and fog. Now he could stay farther back without losing the other man. Snake steadied his breath, and as he'd done in South America, he matched his body's rhythm with the baseline of the surroundings. The ambient urban noise faded, and his focus attuned with the city. The man he followed, of course, also needed to avoid being spotted by the PMCs. There wasn't much Snake could do to assist without giving away his own pheasants. The most he could do was hope the resistance fighter would navigate the streets wisely. Meanwhile, Snake had to hide from not only the man he followed, but also from any PMC patrols. It's hard for me to imagine how difficult it must have been. Snake was reminded of the third man. Supernatural? I'm kidding. I don't know what that is. All that was missing was the Ferris wheel and the underground tunnels. I don't know what that means, dude. All I know is that's an episode of Supernatural. I think. Yeah, that's the one. Which one is that? Is that the one with the shapeshifter baby? It was season 6. It was either, I think, was it that one? I don't remember. Anyway. At the edge of the mist, the resistance fighter's figure looked like a ghost. He was young, in his 20s. Without his youth, it would have been hard to throw himself into the rebellion against the system. But me? Well, I am where I am. But back in my 20s, all I cared about was anime and robotics and hacking. Well, cracking. I never would have even thought about rebelling against the world. I never romanticized my cracking as an action against the system. In my work for the world's largest manufacturer in the military-industrial complex, I never questioned my masters. I did it because it was fun, because it gave me an escape. That was it. I think the reason I joined the fight later in my adulthood was to compensate for how long I'd spent running away from my fate. It was the retribution for so many in my family, including my own past self. My past self. Nice going, Nathan Collins. Jesus Christ, dude. I'm kidding. But like still. So many typos in this book. Snake spoke over the codec. Otaconi's going into a building. The young fighter stood at the service entrance to an old monastery. A guard in the doorway was looking around to see if the man had been followed. The sentry didn't seem to have any special equipment. He checked the young man's dog tags and waved him in. Now, I said, but Snake had already rushed from the shadows. Snake was one with the city, and he closed much of the distance without the guard sensing him. As he ran, he tossed his trench coat to the ground. The guard turned, stepped aside, and started to close the door behind himself. Snake jabbed the toe of his boot inside the doorway, and when the sentry finally saw him, he was already inside. Snake locked his arms around the man he'd followed and pressed a knife against his neck. The sentry cried out, such a lust for revenge. Inside the service entrance were 3 guards, including the one at the door. They quickly raised submachine guns and pointed them at Snake, but with their comrade a human shield, they dared not fire. Snake put his back to the wall and started moving further inside. I'm here to see Big Mama, he said. Is this the guy? Wait, should I give them goofy voice? Is this the guy? Said one of the men. The fear drained from the hostage's face. Then calmly he said, I didn't hear him coming at all. He's gotta be the one. But the other 3 weren't convinced. Yes, the man in front of them had followed one of their own, who wasn't without skill himself, and made it into their hideout undetected to hold a knife at their comrade's throat. But this intruder was coughing. Dude, you can't be doing that. You can't be. Even with his coughing fit, Snake kept his focus, of course, but his face was old. The guards pressed toward him. Snake kicked out at his prisoner's legs and shoved him at the nearest guard. The other 2 guards lifted their guns, but in those close quarters, the advantage was with the knife and CQC. How quickly young people turn to guns for help. Yeah, guns are lame. Swords are cool. Yeah, bro. I don't know what that was. I was the one who hacked into the CIA and found the CQC manual developed by the Boston Big Boss, then gave it to Snake. What? My point being that until recently, Snake had been one of those soldiers who relied on guns. He even said once that he hated knives. Of course, he'd been trained in basic close combat techniques, but he almost never used them. I think I could get away with revealing that much since, after I discovered the CQC techniques, Snake had used me as his training dummy. It was terrible. Although he hadn't practiced CQC long, he was a warrior with Big Boss's genes. What? Dude, that doesn't even make sense. And in a flash, he trapped the 3 guards as well as his captive. Another soldier who had heard the scuffle appeared at a side doorway, his gun drawn. Suddenly, more men and more guns appeared behind him in numbers, dwarfing his first welcoming party. From behind the mob of armed soldiers came a woman's voice. Very impressive CQC, Snake. Like the Red Sea parting before Moses, the group of men moved aside. The woman was blonde, with a brown leather jacket and black leather boots. She knelt at the altar, her back to Snake. No doubt about it, she said. He is the legendary soldier. She rose and, under the watchful gaze of the angels and apostles painted on the ceiling, slowly turned to face Snake. As if by signal, the soldiers simultaneously lowered their weapons. The woman was at least as old as Snake's body looked, but she stood with poise, and the straight line from her spine to her hips to her knees held no tremor. Her face held enough sparkle to make it easy to imagine the beauty it once held. The light in her eyes, if nothing else, couldn't have changed since her 20s. Call me Mama. Big Mama. You better lose yourself to your mom's spaghetti. It's ready. You better never let it go. You only have one job to not miss a chance to blow, because spaghetti comes with life. She walked toward Snake. He entered the sanctuary and approached her. I need to talk to you, he said. Guidance sent me. Big Mama surveyed him from head to toe. My, how you've grown, David. Snake froze. Not many knew his true name. Just me, one small fraction of his many foster parents, and those with high enough security clearance in the U.S. government. Otacon ending real? Boy? I mean, it didn't, Male wasn't on that list. Unless she's those with high enough security clearance in the U.S. government. Otacon ending real? Otacon ending canon? Snake lived his life as Snake. It was you, she said, not I, who was created from the rib of man. But I gave you life. She looked down at her stomach and softly patted it with a gloved hand. Then she looked up and fixed her eyes upon Snake. He could just barely see they were wet. I am your mother. Snake was speechless. He tried to say something, but what? He'd hardly ever given a thought to his mother. As far as he'd been concerned, Big Boss, his father, was the cause of his existence and his curse. Somewhere out there was the woman who gave him birth. That was only natural. Gave him birth? What? Awkward phrasing. That was only natural. Les enfants terribles. Big Mama said, you can't grow a human being in a test tube, not even a clone. You need a woman's body to give it life. You mean a surrogate mother? Her smile was mixed with irony, sadness, and self-scorn. That's an awfully cold way to put it. The angels on the ceiling watched them. The woman who lent her body to the insubordinate imitation of God's work and her creation. On Shadow Moses, a native Alaskan American member of Foxhound on the verge of death. That's a song from Fire. I mean, it is. Said to Snake, you are a snake that was not created by nature. I gave birth to all of you, Big Mama said. For the Patriots. From her womb came Snake and Liquid and all of their tragedies. Perhaps Big Boss's corpse was a Pandora's box. But considering Big Mama was the beginning of everything, then she was one too. If so, then what happened to the hope that was left inside? Maybe she's the hope, I thought. Follow me. Big Mama waved Snake to follow her into the next room. I'll explain everything. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what that was. Yeah. Follow me on Twitch, I guess. If you want. I mean, you don't have to. But, like, I'd really appreciate it. And also, I love Eva. Eva, my beloved. Anyway, if you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!